Have you ever planted a row of seeds, watered them carefully, and then stared at bare dirt for weeks? You are definitely not alone. It is one of the most frustrating things in the world. Today we are talking about a gardening hack that seems almost too good to be true. I am going to show you how to get stubborn seeds like dill, parsley, carrots, and celery to sprout in just 3 days. Yes, you heard that right. 3 days, and you are done. No more waiting around for nearly a month wondering if the birds ate your seeds. Many people believe that growing these specific plants requires endless patience and a lot of luck. But what if I told you that the delay is not your fault at all? What if the secret to explosive, lightning-fast growth is already sitting right there in your kitchen cabinet? Today we are going to break the rules of traditional gardening. We are going to uncover a simple, lazy method that forces these sleepy seeds to wake up immediately. Are you ready to transform your garden and save yourself weeks of anxiety? Let us get started. Before we jump into the exact methods, we need to understand what we are dealing with. Dill, parsley, carrots, and celery all belong to the same botanical family. They are known as umbelliferous plants. If you have ever grown them, you know they share a notorious reputation. They are incredibly slow to germinate. Sometimes they can sit in the wet soil for up to 21 days before showing a single sign of life. This is not an accident. It is a brilliant survival mechanism designed by Mother Nature. These seeds are packed with high concentrations of essential oils. These oils coat the outside of the seed, creating a waterproof barrier. In the wild, this prevents the seeds from sprouting too early in the cold autumn rain. They wait for the heavy snows of winter to melt and slowly wash that oil away by spring. But in our backyard gardens, this natural raincoat is exactly what causes us so much frustration. We do not have months to wait for the rain to do its job. We need a faster way to strip away those essential oils so the seed can drink water and start growing. Let us start by addressing the biggest misconception in the gardening community. So many people think that if their carrots or dill do not sprout quickly, they simply bought a bad batch of seeds. I hear this all the time. People will march right back to the garden center, demand a refund, and buy a different brand. But the truth is, the quality of the seeds is usually perfectly fine. In fact, store-bought seeds are intentionally dried out to extreme levels so they can survive sitting on a shelf for a year. This drying process makes that essential oil barrier even harder and more impenetrable. It is like trying to soak a brick in water. So before you throw away your leftover seed packets from last year, remember this myth. It is not about the age or the brand of the seed. It is entirely about the invisible chemical shield surrounding it. Once you realize that you are fighting essential oils and not poor genetics, the whole game changes. You stop blaming yourself for having a black thumb, and you start looking for a scientific solution to melt that shield away. So, how do we melt this invisible shield? The first and most popular method is the hot water shock treatment. Now pay close attention here, because we are not talking about boiling water. If you use boiling water, you will literally cook your seeds and have seed soup for dinner. We want water that is hot but safe enough to touch for a second. The ideal temperature is right around 120 degrees Fahrenheit. This specific temperature is the magic number. It is hot enough to liquefy and dissolve the thick essential oils, but it is just cool enough to leave the living embryo inside the seed completely unharmed. Think of it like taking a hot shower to wash off stubborn grease. The heat does all the heavy lifting for you. This is the ultimate lazy gardener trick because it requires zero special equipment. All you need is your kitchen sink and a little bit of temperature control. It is a gentle yet highly aggressive way to tell the seed that spring has officially arrived, and it is time to wake up right now. Let us walk through the exact steps of this hot water method. First, find a small piece of cotton cloth or a disposable tea bag. Pour your dry dill or carrot seeds inside and tie it shut. You want them contained so they do not float away down the drain. Next, place the little bag of seeds into a mug. Pour your hot 120-degree water over the bag. Let it sit there for exactly 20 minutes. While you wait, you will actually notice something amazing. The water in the mug will start to turn a yellowish-brown color, and if you lean in close, you will smell a strong, spicy aroma. That is the smell of those stubborn essential oils leaving the seed. It is visual proof that the natural waterproof barrier is breaking down right before your eyes. You are watching science happen in your own kitchen. After 20 minutes, the water will have cooled down. The seeds have now lost a significant portion of their protective coating, and they are finally capable of absorbing moisture to begin the germination process. But we are not completely done with the water treatment just yet. The next step is absolutely crucial for maximum speed. As soon as the 20 minutes are up, take the bag of seeds out of the hot water. Immediately run it under freezing cold tap water for about 10 seconds. This is called a thermal shock. The sudden change from hot to cold causes the microscopic outer shell of the seed to contract quickly. This rapid shrinking creates tiny, invisible cracks along the surface of the seed coat. These little micro-cracks act like open doors. When you finally plant the seed in the damp soil, water will rush right through those doors straight into the center of the seed. The embryo gets an instant flood of hydration, which forces it to sprout almost overnight. This combination of melting the oils and cracking the shell is what reduces a 3-week wait down to just 3 days. It is a brilliant little manipulation of plant biology that anyone can do at home without spending a single dime. Now, if you want an even faster, more controversial method, we need to talk about the alcohol trick. This is a secret that old-school farmers have used for generations, but it rarely gets talked about online. Instead of using hot water to slowly melt the oils, you use alcohol to instantly strip them away. Essential oils are completely soluble in alcohol. This means alcohol eats through that waterproof barrier like a hot knife through butter. For this method, you will need a small amount of regular, unflavored vodka. The alcohol content needs to be around 40%. Do not use rubbing alcohol from the pharmacy, as it often contains bittering agents and chemicals that can poison the fragile plant embryo. Pure, cheap vodka is exactly what you need. It sounds absolutely crazy to give your vegetables a shot of liquor, but the results are absolutely undeniable. It is the fastest chemical way to clean a seed. It is the ultimate shortcut for the truly impatient gardener. Here is exactly how you execute the vodka method without ruining your harvest. Take a small glass or a shot glass, pour your dry parsley or celery seeds right into the bottom. Next, pour just enough vodka into the glass to barely cover the seeds. You do not need a lot, just a few drops will do the job. Now, set a timer on your phone for exactly 15 minutes. This time limit is not a suggestion. It is a strict rule. If you leave the seeds in the alcohol for 20 or 30 minutes, the vodka will penetrate too deep and kill the seed entirely. You want it to only dissolve the outer oily layer. During these 15 minutes, gently swirl the glass a few times to make sure every single seed is getting washed. You will not see the color change like you do with the hot water, but the chemical reaction is happening much faster and much more aggressively. When your timer goes off, you must act immediately to stop the process. The moment those 15 minutes are up, pour the seeds into a fine mesh strainer. You must immediately rinse them under lukewarm running water. I cannot emphasize this enough. You need to wash them thoroughly for at least 1 full minute. You are washing away the vodka, but more importantly, you are washing away the dissolved essential oils that are now clinging to the outside of the seeds. If you skip this rinsing step, the oils will just dry right back onto the seed, and you will have accomplished absolutely nothing. Once they are perfectly clean, dump them out onto a dry paper towel. Pat them gently to remove the excess moisture. They do not need to be bone dry, but they should be dry enough that they do not stick to your fingers in big clumps. Now, you hold in your hand a batch of naked, unprotected seeds. They are incredibly vulnerable, but they are absolutely primed and ready to explode with growth the second they touch damp dirt. If you are not a fan of using hot water or vodka, there is a third method. It is the physical friction method. This is perfect for those who want to keep things entirely natural and mechanical. Remember, the goal is simply to break that waterproof oil barrier. You can actually do this with sheer physical force. Take a small piece of rough canvas cloth or a piece of fine sandpaper. Place your seeds inside and fold it over. Now, gently rub the seeds together between your palms for about 5 minutes. You are giving the seeds a deep tissue massage. The rough texture of the cloth physically scratches the surface of the seed. It scrapes away the oily coating and thins out the hard outer shell. This is called scarification. It is a technique used by commercial nurseries all the time. It requires a bit more elbow grease than just pouring a liquid, but it is highly effective. Just be careful not to crush the seeds with too much pressure. You want to scratch them, not flatten them into a powder. Another fantastic, natural alternative for soaking is the chamomile tea method. This is a favorite among organic gardeners. Instead of just plain water, you brew a strong cup of chamomile tea and let it cool down to room temperature. Soak your seeds in the tea for about 12 hours. Chamomile is not just a relaxing drink for humans. It is packed with natural antibacterial and antifungal properties. When you soak umbelliferous seeds for a long time, they sometimes run the risk of developing mold or rot before they even get into the ground. The chamomile tea acts as a gentle, natural shield against these soil-borne diseases. It softens the hard seed coat, slowly breaks down the essential oils, and sanitizes the seed all at the same time. It is a slower process than the hot water or the vodka trick, but it is incredibly safe and gentle. It guarantees a very high germination rate and gives your tiny seedlings a very healthy, disease-free start in life. Now that our seeds are prepped and their invisible shields are gone, we cannot just throw them into any random pile of dirt. The preparation of your garden bed is the second half of this 3-day secret. If you drop these fast-tracked seeds into hard, compacted clay, they will still struggle to grow. You need to create a welcoming environment. The soil needs to be light, fluffy, and incredibly well-draining. Before planting, take a garden fork and loosen the top 6 inches of your soil. Mix in a generous amount of mature compost, and perhaps a little bit of fine sand. Carrots and dill have very delicate, fragile taproots when they first emerge. They need to push down through the earth with zero resistance. If the soil is heavy and dense, that tiny root will bend, curl, or simply give up and die. By taking 10 minutes to fluff up your garden bed, you are rolling out the red carpet for your treated seeds, ensuring nothing slows them down once they hit the dirt. Here is a brilliant soil trick that perfectly complements our treated seeds. It is the boiling water soil treatment. Right before you are ready to plant, draw your shallow planting trenches in the dirt. Then, take a kettle of fully boiling water and pour it directly into those open trenches. Let the steam rise up. This does 2 amazing things. First, it instantly kills any microscopic pest eggs or fungal spores lingering right on the surface where your seeds will be resting. Second, it deeply warms the earth. Even if it is a chilly spring day, the soil will hold on to that residual heat for hours. You are essentially creating a heated blanket for your seeds. Wait a few minutes for the mud to cool down so it does not burn your fingers. When you place your treated seeds into this warm, sanitized, and deeply hydrated trench, the shock of the perfect environment tells the seed to launch into survival mode and grow immediately. It is a game changer for cold climates. Sowing treated seeds can actually be a bit tricky. Because they have been soaked or rinsed, they are usually damp. Wet seeds love to clump together in big, frustrating blobs. If you try to plant them like this, you will end up with 50 carrots growing in 1 single inch of space, and you will have to spend hours thinning them out later. To fix this, we use the dry sand trick. Take your damp seeds and drop them into a small bowl. Add a handful of dry play sand or even plain white cornstarch from your pantry. Mix it all around with your fingers. The dry powder coats the wet seeds, separating them perfectly. The light color of the sand or cornstarch also provides amazing visual contrast against the dark brown garden soil. When you sprinkle this mixture into your prepared trenches, you can see exactly where every single seed lands. It guarantees perfect spacing, prevents overcrowding, and saves you a massive amount of back-breaking work down the road. Once the seeds are perfectly spaced in the warm trench, how you cover them is critical for that 3-day germination. A huge mistake many beginners make is burying their seeds entirely too deep. If a tiny dill or celery seed has to push through 2 inches of heavy wet dirt, it will run out of energy and die before it ever sees the sun. The golden rule for planting any seed is to cover it with soil no deeper than twice the thickness of the seed itself. For things like carrots and parsley, that means barely covering them at all. We are talking about 1/8 of an inch of soil. I highly recommend not using the native garden soil to cover them. Instead, sprinkle a very light layer of loose potting mix or vermiculite over the top. This top layer needs to be light and airy, so the delicate green shoot can punch through it with 0 effort. Gently pat it down with the flat palm of your hand just to ensure the seed has good contact with the earth, but do not press hard. Now comes the final piece of the puzzle to guarantee that 3-day miracle. You need to create a temporary microclimate. Even though you treated the seeds and warmed the soil, the wind and sun can dry out that top 1/8 of an inch of dirt in just a few hours. If a germinating seed dries out for even 20 minutes, it dies instantly. To prevent this, we build a mini greenhouse. Take a piece of clear plastic wrap, a transparent plastic storage bin, or even an old window pane, and place it directly over your planted row. Secure the edges with rocks or soil so the wind does not blow it away. This traps 100% of the moisture and heat inside the soil. It creates a humid, tropical environment that forces the seeds to sprout rapidly. However, you must check on this setup every single day. If the sun is very bright, it can get too hot under the plastic and cook your seeds. You are looking for a gentle condensation on the underside of the plastic, not a boiling sauna. Let us talk about what happens under the soil on day 1 and day 2. Because you stripped away the essential oils with hot water or vodka, the seed is completely unprotected. Within the first 24 hours, the seed absorbs its own weight in water. It swells up rapidly. The internal chemistry goes completely crazy, converting stored starches into usable sugars for energy. By the end of day 2, the tiny seed coat splits completely open. A microscopic white root, called a radicle, pushes out and dives downward into that fluffy, prepared soil to anchor itself. At the exact same time, a tiny green loop starts pushing upward toward the surface. During these first 2 days, the moisture level must remain perfectly constant under your plastic cover. Do not water them with a heavy hose, or you will wash the seeds away. If the soil looks slightly dry, use a spray bottle to gently mist the surface. Patience is hard here, but trust the process. The magic is happening right beneath your feet. Then comes day 3, the big reveal. This is the moment you have been waiting for. You walk out to your garden in the morning, carefully lift up the edge of your plastic greenhouse, and look closely at the dirt. Suddenly, you see them. Tiny, bright green hooks are breaking through the dark soil in a perfect, straight line. It is an incredibly rewarding feeling. You just beat nature at its own game. You took a plant that normally takes nearly a month to show up, and you forced it into existence in under 72 hours. At this exact moment, everything changes. The seeds are no longer sleeping. They are active, living plants that are desperate for light. The second you see the majority of those little green hooks breaking the surface, you must completely remove the plastic cover. Do not leave it on for 1 extra day. If you do, the seedlings will panic looking for light, grow incredibly tall and skinny, and simply fall over and die. Post-sprouting care is just as important as the preparation. Now that your carrots and dill are above ground, they are extremely vulnerable. They have shallow roots and weak stems. When you water them, you must be incredibly gentle. Put away the heavy watering cans. Continue using a gentle mist from a spray bottle or a hose nozzle set to the finest mist possible. You want to simulate a soft morning dew, not a torrential thunderstorm. Also, because we use the sand trick, your spacing should be pretty good, but you might still have a few spots where two plants are growing right on top of each other. Take a small pair of scissors and carefully snip the weaker plant at the soil line. Do not pull it out by the roots, or you will accidentally rip out the good plant right next to it. Just cut the top off. Giving them proper space right from the beginning ensures they grow thick, healthy stems and large root systems. The beauty of this 3-day method is that it completely changes how you plan your garden. Because you do not have to wait a month to see if your seeds survived, you can practice aggressive succession planting. This means you do not have to plant all your carrots or dill at the exact same time. Instead, you can treat a small batch of seeds with the hot water or vodka method, plant them, and see them sprout in 3 days. Then, 2 weeks later, you can treat another small batch and plant them right next to the first ones. This guarantees that you will have a continuous, rolling harvest of fresh herbs and vegetables all season long. You will never have too much dill at one time, and you will never run out when you need it for cooking or pickling. You are entirely in control of the timeline. You have taken the biggest frustrating variable out of gardening and replaced it with a reliable, predictable system. Let us quickly review why this works so you can remember it forever. It is all about defeating the essential oils. These oils are nature's raincoat. You can wash them away gently with 120-degree hot water followed by a cold shock. You can strip them away aggressively with 15 minutes in 40% vodka followed by a thorough rinse. Or you can soften them slowly with a protective chamomile tea soak. Whichever method you choose, the goal is to leave the seed naked and ready to drink. Combine that with fluffy, warm soil, proper shallow planting, and a temporary plastic greenhouse to lock in the humidity. That is the entire formula. There is no magic spell and no expensive fertilizers required. It is just basic biology and a little bit of clever kitchen chemistry. By understanding how the seed is built, you can easily hack its natural defenses. This secret does not just apply to dill and carrots. You can use these exact same methods on anything in the umbelliferous family. Parsley, which is notoriously slow, will pop up in days. Celery seeds, which are tiny and frustrating, will explode with growth. You can even use this on parsnips and fennel. Once you learn this lazy gardener's secret, you will never look at a packet of seeds the same way again. You will no longer feel intimidated by those warning labels that say, "Germination takes 3 weeks." You know better now. You have the tools to force those seeds to wake up on your schedule. Gardening is supposed to be fun and rewarding, not a stressful waiting game. So gather your supplies, pick your favorite method, and get ready to see green in your garden faster than you ever thought possible. You are about to become the most efficient gardener in your neighborhood. And there you have it. The ultimate secret to getting your stubborn dill, carrots, and parsley to sprout in just 3 days. We have completely busted the myth of bad seeds and revealed the invisible essential oil barrier that has been holding your garden back. Whether you choose the hot water shock treatment to melt those oils or the lightning-fast vodka trick to strip them away entirely, you now have the power to control your planting timeline. You know exactly how to prep your soil, how to create a humid microclimate, and how to care for those tiny seedlings the moment they break the surface. No more staring at bare dirt, and no more waiting weeks just to see if your garden survived. Gardening is all about working smarter, not harder, and this is the perfect lazy hack for an amazing harvest. Thank you so much for watching and learning with us today. If you found this video helpful and you are excited to try these tricks, Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another gardening secret. I want to hear from you now. Which of these seed-starting methods are you going to try in your garden this week? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.